Very good, guys. So we got to talk about Evan Mobley here.
Okay.
Because now I forgot who it was that said this.
Tim Bontempts.
Thank you. Tim Bontempts is an NBA writer. Who does he write for?
ESPN.
Good answer. You're Johnny on the spot twice there, Mike. So Tim Bontempts, do we have the clip?
We do.
I do have the clip whenever you
now,
want.
Your third time, Johnny, on the spot. Go ahead. Let's hear what Tim Bontempts had to say.
I think you were on Nate's pod this week saying, I have no worries about where Evan Mobley's at. I got the point you were making because he's super young, but and you mentioned this on there too, the Cavs and the Wolves made trades at the same time for the same reason. They thought they had budding superstars on their team. The Wolves have one. Anthony Edwards is becoming one. The jury is out, I think, quite clearly on whether Evan Mobley is going to become that kind of player, or if he's going to become somebody more like Derrick Favors. Because,
wow.
Well, Derrick Favors was a very good player who was a non-shooting 4, which is the least valuable archetype of player in the league, was also the third pick in the draft, was also drafted super young, was also super toolsy. Saying all this because the guy who drafted him is on the call.
We drafted Derrick Favors in 2010.
Played 1 year for you guys, right?
We did, because besides his talent, we felt that he was, from a trade standpoint, that he had more value than DeMarcus Cousins would have in a trade if we had taken DeMarcus Cousins.
That's why they drafted him?
The last part of that quote's the most damning thing in the entire interview.
That's
by anything they said about Mobley, which we'll talk about in a sec.
Yeah.
Bobby Marks saying we drafted Derrick Favors because he had more trade value than DeMarcus Cousins is a fireable offense in hindsight.
That's
such a stupid
This
answer.
is why I say it all the
like Bobby
time.
Marks, but
there
I do
are
too.
5 to 6 organizations trying to win. Why would you take a guy
third overall
based on what you could get if you trade him?
Well, in their defense, they did trade him his rookie year. He did get traded his rookie year for Darren Williams.
So,
that's when he was with the Nets, right?
Yeah, the Nets drafted him. They traded him to Utah.
Like when the
his
Nets
rookie year.
was he saying that because the Nets was that when they were trying to like put together that super team?
No, that was before when they. Okay. That was like the first iteration of them trying to do something before then the KG and the Paul Pierce. That came later.
Okay. Anyway, that's a weird statement.
It's still a terrible answer.
Not really. Yeah. That's not really important to our conversation. Yeah. But you were talking about whether the jury's still out on Evan Mobley. I think the jury is still out. I mean,
nope.
You think it's done?
Nope, it's done.
I mean, we've seen guy in their fourth year.
With that.
What do you think, Mike? You think next year? Is next year the last year?
Well, it depends on your expectation of Evan Mobley. Jason and I did a full thing on last week's Ultimate Cavs show of how we should look at Evan Mobley and what's the reason his development hasn't gone as expected. And the obvious is they acquired Donovan Mitchell. And when they acquired Donovan Mitchell, the fact that he is as good as he is and he needs the ball as consistently as he does for the Cavs to be successful has stunted the growth of the younger guys, and especially Mobley, who gets 11 shots per game. So to think we have any full conclusion on the offensive player Evan Mobley can be at age 22, when he has made tangible improvements offensively to his game, while only getting 11 shots, is trying to put a ceiling on something that we just frankly don't have any conclusion to. The big picture comparison to Derrick Favors, I don't think it's as far-fetched as it seems on paper. When Derrick Favors played 30 minutes a game, he did it 3 times in his career, he averaged 15, 8, and 2. Relatively similar to what Mobley's averaging now. Mm-hmm. The difference is Derrick Favors was 27, 28, and 29 when he did that. He had no elite skill, and Evan Mobley is 22 years old with an elite skill and is still improving. Now, the improvements he's made are not the improvements the Cavs needed to become a good team to a championship team.
What are the improvements he made?
Those improvements he needed were a three-point shot, a consistent three-point shot, and the ability to handle and create more offense on his own. That part of his offense.
So what part has he improved in?
He's averaging career highs in field goal percentage, three-point percentage. He's a better ball handler. He's a significantly better passer than he was 2 years ago. Those aspects have improved, but those aspects haven't translated to making the Cavs' 5-man lineup with both bigs, Garland and Mitchell, the best 5-man lineup it could be. So there are absolutely credible and realistic reasons and qualms to say, hey, we thought by year 3 Evan Mobley could be a top-tier A-level player, or at least showing the potential to be there, which he hasn't got to yet.
And he's right, Anthony Edwards has.
And I think that part of the comparison is fair.
Yeah.
But to also kind of typecast Evan Mobley, who has a very specific role in an offense, where he's taking 11 shots per game, they don't run anything for him, and to say, oh, this is just what he is offensively without ever seeing what he could do with more freedom, I think that's trying to put a ceiling on a player. We just don't have enough.
Well, what if you had to bet on it right now?
Bet on what? Will he become like a true A-list superstar?
Yeah.
No, I don't think he will.
Okay.
But I also
so it's
think
not crazy to.
No,
But
You can't kill G. Bush for saying that
No.
he doesn't think he thinks it's done.
No.
Well, it just if you think when they made the trade,
Yeah.
and then G, I want to hear your rebuttal. And Bontempts said this. They made the trade thinking we have a guy who can be, and if you listen to the full interview, a little past that clip,
Yeah.
he goes, they made that trade thinking Mobley could be the best player on the team. Mitchell would be their high end too.
Right.
I'm not ever sure Evan Mobley could be the best player on a team, but I still think Mobley's a piece you can build around. Like, he's not a bad basketball player by any means. If he never gets any better, Evan Mobley plays 15 years in the league.
I know, but
at 16 and 10.
Isn't he just a guy like?
He's an elite defensive player. And he's a guy who is typecast into this box offensively, which is just kind of rebound and run pick and roll, which that may be it. And that there's the
They
chance that may
drafted
be
him
it.
to be the best player on the team.
Yes, and he's not been that yet.
Yeah.
But I'm not willing to sell all my Mobley
But he's not
stock
even.
and
Is
say-
he even the second best player on the team?
No. He's not better than Jared Allen.
But we don't know the answer to that yet, though, is my point.
I mean, today.
Go ahead.
Today,
who's
no,
better?
he's not better. No.
So let's get to the brass tacks of this. See, people say I'm the Duke of knee jerk. I'm not the Duke of knee jerk. I'm just willing to get my crystal ball out and cut bait quicker than everybody. Look, these are some guys I'm going to mention that are. We heard David Robinson. We heard this guy,
We heard Tim Duncan. With
Tim
Kevin
Duncan,
Garnett,
KG.
which is not true.
These are first ballot guys, right?
Evan, when people were comparing him to Tim Duncan.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
my
yeah.
God.
And that skewed the expectation for a guy.
And so let me just give you a guy.
Because he's not lived up to that yet.
Let's give you a guy that's a true comparison. How's
Yeah.
about we go back a couple years to Vin Baker? Good player, right?
He ain't Vin Baker. Come on. He's not Vin Baker. Gee, come on, man.
Do you know that Vin Baker? Let's go back. Let's go look at Vin Baker's stats. Now, Vin Baker's second year, 94, 95, he averaged 17 and 10. Mobley hasn't even touched that yet. That's his second year. His highest year, Vin Baker, 96, 97, 21 and 10. 21 and 10, back to back. He's giving you, that's already. That's in his first 4 years. That's just Vin Baker. We haven't seen that from Mobley. Let's be clear.
Vin Baker was a pretty good player.
Hold on. Vin Baker was taking 17 and 18 shots a game. Mobley's taking 11 and averaging 16 and 10.
And if we gave Mobley 17, 18 shots, he still wouldn't be getting that many points.
He's shooting 58% from the floor.
If he was taking that, he's not going to shoot no threes.
He's a career high three-point
It's
percentage.
hard to compare also because the game is so different than when Vin Baker
Let's
played.
be clear. I can keep going. So, and Vin Baker is an okay player. LaMarcus Aldridge.
You don't like any of these comparisons.
No, LaMarcus, he was a, 5-time All-Star, 6-time
Yeah, he's a
All-Star?
good player.
Well, what I'm saying to you is nobody won nothing with LaMarcus Aldridge. Nobody won nothing with Vin Baker.
I didn't say he could be the best player on a championship team. That's my point.
What I'm saying
Yeah.
is he's not even these guys. So what
At least not yet.
hold on. If he ever gets
At
to
least
this,
not statistically.
in 2014,
But Mike brings up a fair point.
23 points, 10 rebounds, 23 points, 11 rebounds, 21. These is years.
But in fairness, in those days, like the game plan was, hey, I'm the point guard. I'm getting the big man the ball for him to score.
Here's
Right? There's none of that on this.
Here's
He's
my
not
point.
getting that opportunity.
Here's my
here.
point. Well,
He's taking less shots per game than Karis LeVert.
Well, that's his fault. There's sometimes Mobley gets the ball and won't look at the rim.
Listen, Mobley's not without fault. Trust me. Like,
He is not.
I expected
He's
more
been
from
better
Evan
lately,
Mobley.
but in general in his career, he's not aggressive
Here's-
enough. That's
yes,
fair, right?
that's totally fair.
Here's what I'm saying. Am I saying that he's not a piece you can put it to you like this? If LeBron came back, now all of a sudden, I feel good about Evan Mobley. You know why? Because I don't have to have you take big shots. I don't have to have you do no offense running through you. I can have you just rim run, play pick and roll, and play defense. That's it.
That's what he's doing right now.
But that's not good enough for this team. He has to be more for this team to be good. Like, if you want to do that, that's a role player.
Wait, we're saying the same thing. We're just saying it different.
Well, I think in the end,
He's a high-end role guy.
I think in the end, G's probably going to be right that he's never going to be a superstar, and you've even said that. Yeah. But I do agree with Mike that you can't. I don't think you can rule it out completely until he's at least given the opportunity to touch the ball.
Why is Chet Holmgren better than him? I don't understand that.
Chet Holmgren is better than him.
He's better.
That's damning.
Definitely,
that's damning.
It does seem like Evan Mobley was overhyped coming out of college. Fair?
Yeah.
And that maybe his makeup isn't.
I was going to say that
the type that becomes a superstar player.
The knock on Mobley at USC was he was passive, and you thought, okay, he's a freshman, he's coming into a veteran-laden USC team. Maybe he just doesn't feel comfortable becoming the assertive part of their offense.
Right.
Well, I think now through 3 seasons in the NBA, or 2.97, whatever you want to call this season.
Right.
I don't think he has the makeup to ever be like the number one option on offense. He's just not aggressive enough.
No.
Now, he's taking 11 shots a game. He's shooting 58% from the floor. He's shooting 31% from 3, which he needs to take more threes to reach his full potential. I don't care about the field goal percentage. That can go down. He needs to shoot more threes, which is the last thing he's missing in his offensive game. He's done things offensively this season, G, where he's gone coast to coast with a little step-through move. He has a semblance of a post game. He's shown the ability, like Philly a couple weeks ago, to shoot a big-time 3 and make it in a clutch moment. It doesn't happen consistently enough yet. That is totally valid. And I don't think he'll ever be the best player on a championship team. But to write off the fact that he still can't be a really good player, because if he was on Charlotte this year, he'd be taking 18, 19 shots, he'd be averaging 26 and 12 in meaningless numbers.
I think it's fair to say he could be better than he is now, but never become a superstar. There is ground between what he is and being a superstar.
There's a ton of ground between those
and so what is the realistic best case scenario for Mobley? Who's the player comp of his realistic best case scenario? Is it LaMarcus Aldridge? Is that the best case snenario for him realistically?
Crazy. This is why I keep saying to you, right? Yeah. I'll go just to finish the whole thing off.
Yeah.
If he was Nikola Vucevic, you'd be happy.
Mike, I don't know enough about it.
Like Vucevic, listen in this league. Vucevic in this league has averaged 28. He's averaged 20 points, 12 rebounds in this league.
But those are empty stats.
I'd rather you want 15 points or 20 and 12.
But he's on a bad team, right?
He's been on bad teams his entire career.
But that's not fair,
The entire career.
I think Mike's right. Don't you think? So he's on the Bulls, right?
He was on the Magic and put up big numbers. The Bulls traded for him to try and make a big 3. The Bulls haven't won jack shit since they got him.
If Evan Mobley were on a bad team and he was the guy,
he'd average 25 and 12, right?
Averaging a lot more.
You just proved my point. If you're not even getting those numbers and they haven't won anything, what do you think you're getting with Evan Mobley?
I hear what you're trying to say.
In the end, you're probably right that he's not going to be a superstar. I think we all agree on that. But it's not a fair comparison to a guy to say, what's his name, Vucevic, whatever the hell his name is?
Vucevic.
That he's better just because he's scoring more points. Well, how many more shots is he taking per game?
A ton. Mobley's taking 11 shots a game.
He's not better than Vucevic today?
Yeah.
Vucevic has 0 elite skills. Mobley's an elite defender.
But here's I will say that. The thing that and I'm not just killing Evan Mobley. He's an elite defender, right? And
teams would rather have Mobley than him.
Because he's younger, and then there's some, okay, well, maybe he just wakes up one day and figures it out.
Yeah.
However,
and maybe with better coaching, he'd be a better player.
Or with a better system, or maybe with some, hey, how's about developing guys, right? See, you can't just, just a thing called development, right?
Let me ask you something. Can we get Mike Brown back? I think Mike Brown would coach this team well.
Mike Brown's a great coach.
Ty Lue. Can we get Ty Lue back?
Ty Lue.
But I feel like Mike Brown is a good coach for a young team, whereas Ty Lue is the best coach for like a more veteran team.
It depends on what the Cavs do this summer.
But certainly they're not getting either of those guys. No. Certainly I'd love to have either of those guys. We fired Mike Brown twice, but he'd be good. Don't you think Mike Brown would be good with this team?
I do. By the way, Vucevic, for his career, averages 15 shots per game. He's been anywhere between, since he became a decent scorer, between 16 and 21 shots a game. So just looking at the pure numbers.
Yeah, it's not a fair comparison.
Here's one thing I could honestly say, and I feel confident saying. We found out that all that core 4 knowledge,
there's no core 4.
Like we found out straight up today that when Donovan Mitchell came here, he was the best player on the team.
Yes.
Did anybody not know that?
And then we found out the two guys that you thought were going to be pieces and parts mentioned in the 25 under 25 are no longer in that mix. Garland and Mobley have regressed.
The Cavs, 100%, guys, in my opinion, have to trade either Donovan Mitchell and Darius Garland. Now, before you lose your mind, obviously we'd all rather them keep Donovan Mitchell. But you can only keep Donovan Mitchell if he's willing to sign an extension.
Yeah.
So if what I'm doing, as soon as the season's over, if I'm Dan Gilbert, is I'm saying to Donovan Mitchell, if you sign with us long term, Darius Garland's gone. He's gone. We're trading him away. If you don't, we'll trade you away.
Okay.
But we want you. We want to build the team around you. You tell us what you want us to do. We'll trade whoever you want us to trade.
Okay.
We want you to be our guy, our superstar for the next bunch of years.
Would you trade? Because I've been hearing rumblings.
Yeah.
Out of New York, would you trade Donovan Mitchell for what's the name? Jalen Brunson straight up?
I don't think the Knicks would do that.
Knicks wouldn't do it right now.
Well, Jalen Brunson says he's not signing no extension.
He's in a contract for 3 years.
After this one?
Yeah, they signed him to a 5-year deal.
They
last
love
year.
him.
So in 3 years, right? He's in
2 or 3 more years. Yeah.
Okay, so would you trade him for Brunson straight up?
I would, because he's got locked in for more years. But even though I think Donovan's better,
Good.
it just doesn't. I don't even think that's a realistic trade.
Why?
Brunson's the most beloved Knick. Since
Yeah, they
Patrick
love
Ewing.
him.
But
They wouldn't trade him.
But the Knicks all the time screw stuff up. And they've been talking about getting this dude forever.
Yeah, but I give the Knicks credit. They finally seem to be smart lately.
This most recent
like they made good
iteration.
trades. They got Julius Randle's out for the year. It's a big loss for them. But
OG Bogdanovic.
But I don't think. But the bottom line is, if I'm Dan Gilbert, and odds are Donovan Mitchell's not going to re-sign here. I think we know that's realistic. All those rumors are going around. The fact that Donovan Mitchell, when he was asked about signing here, wouldn't even answer the question, probably tells you all you need to know.
He's supposed to not sign. He's supposed to say that.
All right, but if I'm Dan Gilbert, I would do everything to convince Donovan Mitchell to sign here long term, and then I would immediately trade Darius Garland. Now, we've been saying Darius Garland has no trade value. I was listening to my buddy Jonathan Peterlin on The Fan, and unlike on The Fan where they're not allowed to mention our show, they are directed not to mention our show. We can mention The Fan because we don't play those petty games. But Jonathan
being petty, saying somebody else is petty.
Jonathan was interviewing Brian Geltzeiler, I think is his name, who does. He's a writer and he also is on SiriusXM NBA Radio, and he said he thought that the Cavs could get a lot from the Spurs. He said they could get outside of was it Vassell and Wemby. Like, he mentioned another player. He's like, I can't remember the name of the guy.
Keldon Johnson, probably.
Maybe that was it. He said, I thought that guy, I think he'll be really good with the Cavs. They can get a bunch of draft picks. That Darius Garland will be a perfect fit for the Spurs. So,
I need some picks, too.
You can't, there's no way you have Donovan Mitchell and Darius Garland on this team next year. No way. One of them's got to be traded this offseason. Agree or disagree?
We talked about it yesterday.
Yeah.
If you look at and I love numbers. Like, I love stats. The numbers tell you that Darius and Donovan work together in this offense. The net ratings, all the advanced analytics, they both had statistically the best seasons of their careers last year. The numbers, without any context, tell you those two work together.
Well, basketball.
My eyes don't necessarily agree with that.
Right.
And I like numbers when they confirm what my eyes tell me. I don't use them as a end-all, be-all. They're not, the Bible. They're not, I use it to confirm or to see, okay, am I off here? My eyes and the numbers tell me two different stories.
So, okay, listen. Here's what your eyes would also tell you. I challenge you to say this. You trade Darius Garland for a wing?
Yeah, you love to.
Who's the kid? Who's the Spurs guy?
For a wing?
You just said?
Keldon Johnson. He's 6'3".
Okay, so he's not a wing.
No, he's not a wing. So if you trade him for a wing, you can automatically either move Karis LeVert or Max Strus into that position. And guess what? The Cavs are night and day better.
I mean, it depends on who you get.
I want Brandon Ingram.
You're not getting, I want Brandon. I want Jason Tatum, too. Darius Garland's not getting you Brandon Ingram.
What, could you get CJ McCollum for him?
You want to pair him with another tiny guard that neither plays defense?
No.
You want to trade one guy who's undersized, doesn't play defense for another guy?
Nobody's trading you a great wing player for Darius Garland.
Listen. They gotta find something. They got because here's the
as
thing.
soon as the season ends, I'll go in the trade machine. I'll come up with some trades for you. But
but here's the thing. You gotta agree. Like Bull say, I'm with him. They cannot come back as constituted. We tried this last summer, and we got shooters. They say, give us shooters. Give us shooters. We gave you shooters.
I could assure you this, G. Unless they go on some sort of run, the Cavs in 2024, 2025 will look night and day different. Top to bottom.
Well, you're going to have a new GM.
Top to bottom than they do right now.
I think the GM's getting fired. I think the coach is getting fired. I think either Garland or Mitchell. Unfortunately for us, I think it's going to be Mitchell, but one of them's going to get traded.
That's the worst.
It sucks, but I think that's what's going to happen.
For me, that's the worst case scenario because that means you already got Darius Garland under contract, and they're going to try to gas us and be like, well, DG, he's going to have a lot more room to move.
Oh, yeah.
And he's going to be back.
The Cavs apologists will be in full force with that.
The one thing we have to figure out this offseason.
Yeah.
And then we'll move on to the next thing. But we're going to get some sort of clarity on the Mitchell situation. He's either going to say, I'll resign, an extension.
No, he's either going to sign or he's going to be traded. There's no.
Well, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. So we'll get an answer.
Yeah.
The one that they have to make a true decision on, like a legitimate, it's up to us, not you, is can the two bigs play together? And that comes down to, can Evan Mobley develop a three-point shot? And do you trust that whether it's JB or if it flames out, a different head coach could unlock the next level of his offense?
Yeah,
and that is a question that whoever is running the Cavs has to answer.
I think probably in a perfect world, and I hate to say it because I love the guy, but I think in a perfect world, Donovan Mitchell resigns, and you trade Allen and Darius. I think that, and then you go forward with Donovan and Mobley as your two best guys, and hopefully get another really good two players to go with them in the right trades.
If Mitchell agrees to come back, everyone on the roster is on the chopping.